Heyo everybody, Haku here with my review for Tensei Shitara Slime Datta, or that time I was reincarnated as a slime, episode 10. So yeah, sorry this is up a day late. I don't know, I watched the episode yesterday, took notes on it, and I really wanted to do the video on it. I was just feeling really burnt out, and I was like, if I push myself to record, I don't really know how good it's going to be, given that I felt like just super burnt out. But either way, let's talk about the episode. I really liked it. Except for there's this one thing that's, not really a story complaint, but we'll get to it. But starting from the beginning, we have cute Rimuru eating. He finally gets his feast. And we start learning more about orcs. And that's one thing I really liked about the episode. Probably the thing I liked about most is that we got a lot of story stuff happening, and we jumped around a lot with the story stuff. But we learned that orcs are typically way weaker than ogres, so it's kind of weird for orcs to be attacking ogres to begin with. And in addition to that, they were highly armed and armored, and in really large numbers, which again is all really unusual for them to have numbers that large, and for them to have human armor. I believe they said it was the type of armor they had was the type that humans would wear. But they had a masked Majin with them, and so Majin is kind of a new term that we're coming to learn. It was stated a few times last episode. Jeez, why'd I get caught up on that? But yeah, either way, I would guess, I'm just assuming it's a typical word for magic user, particularly probably a evil magic user, but either way. So they're assuming, at least they meaning the ogres and the goblins, they're assuming that the orcs must have sided with some sort of demon lord. Now only 6 of the 300 ogres remain. And of course it's the 6 we met last time. Rimuru offers them a home, a place to stay. He's gonna just give them food, clothing, and shelter and help them out. In addition, for them sort of helping him out, because it's mutually beneficial. The ogres want revenge, but Rimuru also knows that if they're trying to take over the forest of Jura, they're gonna come to his little town eventually anyway. So it kind of benefits them to all work together. So he says that the ogres as well, that they can just stay or go after they defeat the orcs. After that, it's all up to them. He's not gonna keep them trapped or anything. And there are hints at a bigger risk of naming. Now that risk could have just been that naming stronger creatures requires more magicals than naming weaker creatures, but it seemed like they were hinting something other than the magic draining as a negative for giving names, so it seems like they may have been hinting something there. But when Rimuru finally does wake up, they are now Kijin. One thing about the term with Kijin is that I did see a few people saying that they read the manga or that they read the web series. I'm not sure if it's a web comic or a web novel, and they called them Oni there rather than Kijin. So they're not sure if Kijin is maybe a light novel term or if it's an anime only term. Either way, it doesn't really make much of a difference, I wouldn't think, but just an interesting thing to point out since I am reviewing it. But we get their names. We get Benimaru, Shuna, Shion, Hakuro, Soei, and we get those 5 for now. And one thing I was thinking as they're going through all this conversation and stuff, my one big negative, it's not really much of a story thing, but the ogres look way lamer now. Their designs are so much less interesting and so much less good. At least one by one. What was his name? Benimaru. Benimaru he had a good design either way. Both of his designs look really cool. Shuna's design looks a lot worse. She loses the facial features like the pronounced fang, the red markings, the horns are less pronounced. She loses a lot of the things that made her character's design unique and cool, and the same goes for Shion. She loses a lot of the more beastly look that made her character design really unique and cool. So they both lost a lot of what made their character design cool. The one you could say that their character design possibly looks better is Hakuro. There's honestly not a super ton of difference, really. The character design kind of conveys the same thing either way. And then Soe, again, actually really didn't change all that much. He still looks pretty similar to how he did before. But yeah, less ogre-like, I suppose. But either way, I still think I did prefer his original design. So yeah, they look way lamer, and that's my one complaint with this, is that they had really, really good character designs, and I saw other people complaining the same thing. They had really, really good character designs that are just absolutely wasted. I really hope that they can go back to looking like that maybe, but I highly doubt they ever will. But yeah, they were so much cooler looking before, and they look a lot lamer now. So yeah, that's one thing that's super disappointing. But then we see Kurobe, who I think actually looks better now personally with a more human look, because the other character designs were a bit more dynamic and unique, but his was kind of a generic ogre character design before. And I like that even now he kind of looks like a normal person, and Rimuru loves him because of how normal he is. How he isn't like a hot guy or an attractive girl, or he has this like cool old man look. He's just a normal guy. So Rimuru really likes that, which I thought was funny. But cutting away, I think that's where we had the commercial break. Cutting away, we see that the orcs are now making their way toward the lizard men, and the lizard men live at Lake Sis. I liked seeing all of them. And the lizard men bring up, again, really, really good points. It's weird that they would have, like, what was the number, 20,000 or 200,000, something like that. Either way, absolutely massive number. I think it was actually 200,000. But they have a frigging ton of orcs, and they're saying it's weird that they're so well-fed and well-organized, because how are you going to keep 200,000 orc stomachs full to get them to go on a war campaign? And in addition to that, what sort of person is going to be able to take normally weaker and unruly creatures and make them into such a war machine of an army? So they're assuming that it means there must be an orc lord, a big powerful orc, of course, that can control them all and get them all into line. But we already know that there's supposedly this orc disaster, which might be even stronger than an orc lord. That we had this Gelmud guy naming before. At least I think it was Gelmud that was naming him in the scene we just saw last episode. But we get to meet Gabiru, who was named by Gelmud. And it's interesting. So if Gelmud is the one that attempted to name the ogres, named one of the goblins before, named one of the lizard men, now went off and named one of the orcs and made him an orc disaster, are they really trying to take over Jura? And maybe they're just hitting and missing with who they're naming? Or are they just trying to name a bunch of these creatures to get them to all fight for some grander scheme? I don't know, it could be a million different things. But yeah, it's weird that not only the orc disaster, but they were naming all these other people. Like the original, the original Rieger. But either way, we see Gabiru, who's cool enough. I really liked the female lizard, though, and the old lizard leader guy. Those two were cool. So I kind of hope we see more of them. But he seems to have some heat with his father and whatever the female lizard lady. He seems to have some heat with the two of them. But cutting back to the town where that Rimuru is setting up and everything, Hakuro is teaching swordsmanship to Gobta and some of the little goblins. Benimaru then basically explains all the stuff we just saw with the lizard men. We just see it quickly explained basically from him to Rimuru. Then we have the sort of reveal that Imagine visited them before they were attacked, and they refused him, and their name was Gelmud. So that is kind of how they came to the assumption that it was them who sent the orcs. Soe reports that lizard men had been sighted at a nearby goblin village, which I didn't think there were a bunch of other goblin villages anymore. I thought they had all just come together under Rimuru. So this, again, more new stuff to me. But Gabiru, then, we end the episode with him. It felt a little bit odd. Gabiru seems to dislike the lizard men living in fear of orcs and fearing an attack of orcs. But he doesn't actually seem to want to lead, or he doesn't feel confident enough that he can lead as chieftain of the lizard men. So we have that, and it's really cool. And it's kind of something with this show, is that this show is very unepisodic. It's not like this episode contains this stuff, this episode contains this stuff. More than most other shows I watch, this just says, if we're ending like on a scene that doesn't feel like it should be the ending of the episode, who cares? It's just a continuous story from all the episodes strung together. So it's very non-episodic. So yeah, some thoughts as a whole. I really liked the story. The story was good. I loved the new introductions for all these new characters and themes. I loved that we jumped around and got to see a bunch of different settings, a bunch of different characters. I love when any story does that. The one thing I'm not a fan of is the ogres downgrade and them looking so much... I don't know. I feel like it's more the two female ones, I guess. Like, Shuna and Shion's designs got so much worse. Benimaru's design is less interesting this way, but it's still really good, so it's hard to really care that much because it is still really good. Soei, I think, is kind of in a similar position where it's less interesting now, but it kind of looks pretty similar anyway. And it's still kind of cool the way it is. Hakure, you could argue, Hakuro, you could argue, you know, it's like he's kind of the same in a lot of ways. Or you could argue it's better or worse the way he is now. I think the one that did get better was Kurobe, but still. So yeah, I feel like they wasted really good designs and made them a lot less interesting. That's the one negative I have. But I'd give it 8.5 Kijin out of 10. I enjoyed the episode a lot. I thought it was one of the better ones, just like I thought last week. But yeah, I just had that one complaint, and that one complaint isn't even a storyline thing. It's just purely visuals and aesthetic. But yeah, that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did like the video, comment down there to tell me what you thought of this episode and what you thought of my thoughts on it. Subscribe for more. Sorry, my throat's been bothering me for the past 30 minutes or so. Subscribe for more Tensei Shitara Slime Datta. Again, much more on the channel. Tons of anime. Going to be picking up tons of new anime next season, of course, as we continue with this one. Geez, there's going to be a lot going on. But yeah, comment, subscribe, follow on Twitter if you want. I can try to keep you updated there and stuff for the channel, or I can talk to you there. And if you want a link to our Discord server to talk to me or more of us about this series or anything else, just ask and I can give you a link. That's it. Thank you once again for watching, and I'll see you all next time.